We are covering the Great American Bash, 1995. Tagline, back by popular demand. Celebrate with some red, white, black, and blue. That is literally the tagline of this event.
That sounds so bad.
Well, my forehead was red, white, black, and blue at the end of this from beating it against the wall so hard.
Yes, but you chose to watch this.
Yeah, because I like torturing myself. Well,
and the listeners.
Yeah, well, hey, the listeners picked it, so that's on them. But, yeah, so you know where this event took place, don't you, Greg?
Yeah, Dayton!
Exactly. The Hera Arena, which last I checked is defunct. It is small. Last time I was in it, the box office and the building just smelled like the bathrooms at Grand Central Station in New York.
And you can compare.
Yep. I remember when I had to go really bad one time, I went to a bathroom in the subway, and you were like, man, you're going to have to boil your shoes after.
Yeah.
And then you asked me, you're like, I kind of got to go. How bad is it? And I'm like, it could be worse. It's
worse.
Yeah, it's about as bad as I could, or as good as I could say about it. But, yeah, so we're here. It is sold out with the attendance of 6,000 people. So that shows you how small of a building this is. And my first note, I said, Tony Schiavone starts out by saying that this event is on Father's Day, which gave me really bad flashbacks to In Your House on Mother's Day. And turns out, for good reason, because as much as they hammered that home about it being Mother's Day at In Your House, they hammered it home about being Father's Day here at Great American Bash. And I said, you can...
And in Dayton.
Yeah. Oh, they did. They hammered the crap home out of it being in Dayton, like it was a big thing. But, yeah, and you really get an appreciation for how small the Hera Arena was, because they take a wide shot, and they say that it's filled to capacity 6,000 people. That's not even, that's like half of what you can get inside the Barclays, for reference. But first match of the night actually was pretty good, so it gave me a little hope for the event, which was quickly dashed, but, you know, that's beside the point. The first match was Flying Bryan versus Alex Wright. Apparently they had Brian Pillman not using his last name because they just called him Flying Bryan all night.
That's what they called him for a couple of years, actually.
Oh, he didn't use Pillman?
No.
Huh. I didn't know that. Either way, I said these two are wrestling a cruiserweight-style match. During the match, Tony says that they're holding a contest where people had to send in pictures of their dads if they thought that they looked like a WCW wrestler. What the hell? It's a weird-ass contest. These two guys get pretty aggressive for a while, and they slow it back down. Bryan drops right on the top rope, and Heenan says, I think he got him right in the schnitzel there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I forgot he used to say that crap.
Yeah, well, hey, the last event, he said he was going to beat him so bad he's going to be eating his sauerkraut through a straw. So, Bryan, the hometown boy, is getting cheered, and Wright, who's also a babyface, is getting booed. For those of you that don't know, they announced Brian Pillman. It's like the Dolph Ziggler of 1995, because they announced him from Hollywood, California, but then during the match, they're like, oh, he's from Cincinnati, right down the road. Like, it's just like Dolph. Oh, he lives in Hollywood, Florida, but, you know, he's from Cleveland. They're all ashamed. When they cheered for Bryan, Tony Schiavone said, Dayton loves Flying Bryan, and Heenan says, Dayton will love anybody. Hey, look, there's a guy with his IQ on his shirt, and the guy is wearing a number 1 jersey. That was great.
Oh, my God.
He goes hard on Dayton, dude. Bryan goes for a tilt-a-whirl sunset flip, but Wright drops to his knees and hooks the legs for a jackknife pin and gets the win. A fan is shown in the front row that's cosplaying as Big Bubba Rogers, and he looks exactly like him. Conclusion, I gave it 2 3/4 Uncle Dave's, so just shy of 3. So pretty good opener. Then they show.
I always liked Alex Wright.
Oh, yeah, he was. I'm getting new appreciation for how good he was, and he can wrestle a bunch of different styles, too. So he was really underrated.
He was.
He needed to bulk up just a tad because he was just like long and lanky. But yeah, he was pretty good. A promo is shown for Diamond Dallas Page doing arm wrestling competitions. That was a thing. He says that if somebody beats him, they'll win a date with the Diamond Doll, who is Kimberly, by the way. Van Hammer was about to beat him, apparently, on Saturday night, but Max Muscle, who is DDP's bodyguard, trips Van Hammer so that DDP can win. And the ref saw none of this. And then Mean Gene Okerlund is backstage interviewing Dave Sullivan. And Dave is holding and petting a white rabbit. If Dave loses, DDP gets the rabbit named Ralph. Dave says that he's going to win for Daddy Sullivan. And Mean Gene says, Daddy Sullivan, can we get a first name? And Harry, can we get a first name on that? And he says, Daddy.
Oh, my God.
Keep in mind, Dave Sullivan's whole gimmick, if for those of you that don't remember previous podcasts, is he's like really slow. And his name backwards is Evad. So they call him Evad Sullivan. Because, he's mentally handicapped. That's funny.
I like it, pal.
Bro, he's not shoot handicapped. He's working, bro. He's only kayfabe mentally handicapped. So it makes it okay.
Hey, that makes it better.
Exactly. This next thing, it wasn't really a match. It was an arm wrestling competition. It was DDP with Max Muscle and the Diamond Doll, who I will say Diamond Doll was hot and all, but she was like the worst actress in history with like the weirdest facial expressions like of all time.
I remember that.
Yeah. But DDP is taking on Dave Sullivan. And ever since listening to the 83 Weeks podcast, I'm like noticing this more. DDP was just like a walking gimmick. Like he wore everything. I guess his gimmick was just he's a really loud guy from Jersey. So he came out.
He was from Vegas, right? Or
I don't know. I can't remember. But he like had sunglasses, weird hair. He had a cigar, a big furry coat, and like diamond studded everything. I don't get the whole arm wrestling competition, but whatever. Some idiot actually has a custom made Dave Sullivan sign that they hand painted. This is real. This is real. Someone else has a crappy sign that they just drew. It was all white and they drew with a magic marker and it just says Dave's Doll. So we have multiple Dave Sullivan signs. I literally wrote, I hate Dayton after all of this.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dayton.
Wow. There are two false...
Buy our shirt.
Yeah. There are two false starts to this competition with DDP pulling back both times. Finally, they do a start for real. Max Muscle keeps giving, quote, extra leverage to DDP by boosting his heel, whatever that does. Dave finally wins the contest when the Diamond Doll accidentally bumps into Max Muscle, sending him into DDP. So Dave goes crazy celebrating and walks out with a rabbit. At first, DDP and Max Muscle get in each other's faces, and they like stare each other down, but then they just hug it out. And then DDP gets in the Diamond Doll's face and shouts her down, backing her into the corner. And here's where I wrote, Kimberly Page is a horrible actress. I first noticed that when you and I watched what was the event where she came out for the Booty Man? Was that Uncensored 96?
Probably.
Yes, that
sounds about right.
That's right, that was it. She came out, she was the Booty Babe after that for a while, and she looked in the camera at one point and was like, he's my boyfriend. And I was like, what the F? Like, she looked like she was on drugs. Just her acting was the worst. And that's saying something in pro wrestling, because there are a ton of really bad actors and actresses here. Either way.
Well, at least she's hired for acting skills, so that's fine.
Yeah, well, she's hired for to stare at, I guess. Mean
Done.
Gene Okerlund interviews DDP on the stage, and DDP keeps saying that he didn't lose and he wants a do-over. This whole segment was just like, what the hell? So I guess Dave Sullivan gets to go out with the Diamond Doll, and freaking Bobby Heenan kept like talking about, can you imagine going to the movies with that idiot and his rabbit?
I'm just picturing it.
He's just sitting there petting the rabbit. Oh, good Lord. Weird. Anyway, next match. This was what it was. It was Hacksaw Jim Duggan taking on some guy named Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman.
Hell yeah.
Ugh. Hacksaw is a replacement for the injured Marcus Alexander Bagwell, who Pittman supposedly injured by breaking his arm. So this could have been possibly worse or better. I don't know. I don't know if this is a step up or down. Either way, this Craig Pittman guy looks like a parody of a wrestling Marine. Very cartoony, kind of like Duggan. So it was a perfect match. Pittman gets Duggan's legs in the corner, rips off his knee pad, and wraps his knee around the post a few times. I love how the crowd chants USA for Duggan, but in protest of the guy who legitimately served in the U.S. Marine Corps. Bobby Heenan points that out. Fans are stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when, real quick, during like 9/11, they would chant USA for Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
And then Paul Heyman's like, did these idiots realize that Rhino's from Detroit?
Yeah, they also chanted that during like Starrcade 95 that we're going to get to. There's an Alex Wright versus somebody. He takes on somebody from Japan, and they chant USA during that match. And I'm like, neither one of these guys are American. Like, who do you like here? Either way, Pittman has a deep armbar on Duggan, which he apparently calls the Code Red. Duggan is in the ropes, screaming in pain, and Pittman gets disqualified for not breaking. Pittman then tries to attack Duggan again, but Hacksaw grabs the 2x4 and chases him off. Conclusion, this was a match better suited for 1985, not 1995. I gave it 1 3/4 Uncle Dave's.
By saying that, you said this match was worthy of happening.
I mean, it was cartoony, and there was a lot of hard-hitting BS and playing to the crowd, so in 85, it would have been a nice undercard match. In 95, what the hell, man? Not even a dark match. And what is it with them and the military gimmicks in this era in WCW?
They wanted the next Sergeant Slaughter.
I guess. I remember that other guy. It was like, I don't know. He was some officer in the freaking army they had on some show. I can't remember what his name is. Sergeant something or other. And I'm like, who is this guy? And he was like a real skinny, lanky dude. I'm like, whatever. Well, we'll see a lot of this guy all over the show. You know, like we were talking about, man, everybody grew up on him. Mean Gene is backstage again. He was the man with the mic. He's back there with the most, like the greatest pairing ever. It's the Blue Bloods, Lord Steven Regal and Sir Robert
the
Earl of Eaton. Yeah, Sir Robert Earl of Eaton, who, for all of you that don't know, is Bobby Eaton of the Midnight Express. So, yeah. Apparently, they traced back, and he has royal lineage from England. So, wait a minute. You mean
sure
the guy,
he does, yeah.
You mean the guy from Alabama traced his lineage back and found out that he's really, really white? No.
I don't believe you.
Either way. Lord Steven Regal cuts the most British promo I've ever heard in my life. And he says that American children grow up in a violent society, so he's fighting fire with fire. They then show what happened before the show, where apparently Sister Sherry got in Colonel Robert Parker's face, shouting him down. Parker hits her, grabs her, or hits on her, not hits her, but he hits on her, grabs her, kisses her, and she socks him in the face and knocks him down. So that leads to...
She hit a Southern gentleman.
Yep. Wow. How dare you? I see. Colonel Robert Parker, wrestling manager and Foghorn Leghorn impersonationist.
Oh my God.
He was the like real life equivalent of Foghorn Leghorn.
Yep.
Anyway, so this leads
the greatest
to
promoter of all time, by the way.
Yeah. This leads to the African American gentleman from the streets of Harlem taking on the whitest tag team of all
Houston.
time. Well, they're kayfabe from Harlem, but yeah, from Houston. It is Bunkhouse
10th Street in Harlem, by the way.
Yeah, which is apparently
specific
tough.
because that's the toughest street in Harlem. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I passed by it waiting for a friend a couple years ago. I went through it and I had to get on a bus.
Why?
To go to the airport.
No.
Well, that was the only way to get to the airport. I almost died.
I bet you did. You should have been wearing body armor. But anyway. Oh, man. Either way, I hope you were wearing neutral colors.
I don't remember what I was wearing. I just got the hell out of there.
It is the team led by Colonel Robert Parker of Bunkhouse Buck and Dirty Dick Slater. Second week in a row. Second week in a row, I got to say the words Dirty Dick on this podcast. They're taking on the Harlem Heat with Sister Sherry. For some reason, Stevie Ray is wearing a T-shirt under his outfit. Stevie effing Ray.
Oh, yeah.
The
third man in 4 games, 1998.
Don't remind me. But, yeah, I didn't really make too many notes for this one. I wasn't too enthralled. Booker T rolls Bunkhouse Buck up in a small package. The ref is distracted, so Parker comes in and rolls the pile over. The ref is still distracted, so Sherry comes in and rolls a pile over again. Harlem Heat gets the win. Conclusion, nothing special, decent match, 2 Uncle Daves.
Wasn't it thrown on late, too?
Yeah, just before the show, they had a pre-show, apparently. That's where the whole thing went down. They then show a video before the show. Nick Bockwinkel, who is apparently the commissioner, is being interviewed on the stage by Eric Bischoff, and then Vader comes out and gets violent with both of them. And he says that he's tired of hearing about Hulk Hogan, and then Hulk Hogan comes out and attacks him. The locker room then unloads with all the baby faces. They pull Hogan off and drag him to the back. Now, live in the arena, Nick Bockwinkel is being interviewed by Tony Schiavone, up where the commentary is. Bockwinkel says that Vader is going to have to face, quote, Mr. Hogan. And he says, at the what is it that's coming up? At the Bash at the Beach. Oh, man, it just, you couldn't even, I got bad flashbacks of, you'll be banned from the Summerfest.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Me and Ramon still say that crap to this day.
Yeah, every time I say SummerSlam, Ramon says, you mean the Summerfest. But the match will be in a steel cage. So, Hogan, Vader, steel cage, on the beach, brother. I love Nick Bockwinkel, but good Lord, the amount of, you could tell his give a damn was just busted here in WCW. He was coming in, collecting a paycheck, getting the hell out. Mean Gene Okerlund is now backstage with Ric Flair, who is super happy for Vader. Flair says that if Macho Man shows up tonight for their match, he will end his career. He says, I took your wife in 92. I took your dad at Slamboree. And then he flips around a whole bunch as he finishes his promo. I was actually really into this. It was a really good Flair promo. I know that's kind of like an oxymoron, but still. But next, man. Next. It's the match. The match. Arn Anderson defends the television title against the Renegade with Jimmy Hart in his corner.
The effing Renegade.
Yep. And we got to get Jimmy Hart on this show at least once or twice. Can't have a single show without Jimmy Hart. Oh, man. But anyway, the cameraman keeps showing the same two kids with Sting headbands over and over all night. I don't know if they were the kids of somebody in the production truck, but they showed them a million times on this pay-per-view. Like they were the only fans they had. I wrote, I feel bad for Arn Anderson, who looks like he's wrestling a cement mixer. Arn.
Oh, that's rough.
Not to speak ill of the dead, but god dang, Renegade was bad. I mean, he wasn't Ultimate Warrior bad, and again, I know Warrior's dead, but it's not a secret. Arn finally slows his ass down, and they start doing holds. Towards the end, the Renegade basically nails a shell shock on Arn, and then does a diving splash and gets the pinfall victory. A ton, like a metric ass ton of pyro goes off for the Renegade's win. The Giant is seen standing up.
And why not?
Oh, yeah. The Giant is seen standing up in the crowd, front row, wearing a long leather trench coat for some reason. Imagine how many cows had to die for that thing. But he's just like staring down the Renegade and Jimmy Hart like a crazy man. Jimmy apparently gets too close and the Giant reaches out to grab him, but he misses him. And then he just like walks away shaking in anger with his eyes wide open like a crazy person. They still don't know who he is, by the way. Like, he's just the big guy who follows him around. Conclusion, not very good.
Big guy.
The big guy. He should have got a weight belt. Like, that would have got him over. That and coming out of a box. The WCW just didn't do anything right. Weight belts and coming out of boxes. That'll get... I still remember when the first time Ryback showed up like that, and you're like, man, nothing says over like that big guy belt. Yeah. Anyway, conclusion, not very good. The Renegade is crap. 1.5 Uncle Dave's. I'm sorry for all of you that think it's mean if I talk badly about a guy's wrestling skills if he's dead. But what am I supposed to say? Just because he's dead doesn't mean he magically becomes a good wrestler. Like, and I feel bad, but from what I heard, he was a good guy, which is more than I could say about what people said about the Ultimate Warrior, but still, it doesn't make him a good wrestler. Rest in peace, Renegade, you former TV champ.
Roll Tide.
Eat me on that one. That ain't gonna happen. By the way, I didn't jinx the Buckeyes. Throwing that out there now. I don't have your jinx powers, Greg. And the more you say roll Tide, you might be cursing the tide. So you better watch it. Rein it in a little bit. They now show a hype video for the feud between the Nasty Boys and the Blue Bloods. We then go back to Mean Gene Okerlund.
Oh, this is going to be a barn burner.
Oh, well, hell yeah. The Nasty Boys and the Blue Bloods, man. By the way, if I have to compliment the show in any way, I didn't, some of these feuds, developed within a month, and I didn't, get all the buildup. These video packages really explained what the hell was going on, so good for them. I wasn't confused at all with any of this stuff, so that's a plus. We go back to Mean Gene Okerlund backstage with the Nasty Boys. Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags shout their freaking lungs out again. They say that the foreigners won't come on to the Great American Bash and take their titles, even though Bobby Eaton's from Alabama. Brian Knobbs then says that this one is for his nasty dad. More in your house flashbacks.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so tired of this crap. Can we not have any more Mother's Day or Father's Day pay-per-views, please? But now we go to this. It's the Nasty Boys defending the tag titles against the Blue Bloods, Lord Steven Regal, and Sir Robert Earl of Eaton. I never, ever, I'm finally getting the hang of his name now. I never get it right. These guys start off hot before the Nasty Boys even get their jackets off. Sags gets his trench coat off and whips Steven Regal with it like it's a belt. That was kind of funny. Regal, cowered in the corner. Regal gets a pit stop and nearly pukes. I don't blame him. The same then happens to Eaton. They gather in the corner of the outside railings and gag together for like 5 minutes. Heenan.
That doesn't sound weird.
Yeah. Heenan. Oh, man. I just thought about that. I didn't mean it to sound as weird as it did. Heenan then makes a bunch of jokes about them never getting that taste out of their mouth and says they'll have to get their gums removed. And then Heenan says, it's only 1995. Schiavone says, what does that have to do with anything? And Heenan says, because the Nasty Boys only bathe on even-numbered years.
Wow.
I love Bobby Heenan. I miss him. Stevie Ray and Sherry come out to distract the referee, and then Booker T runs out and hits the Harlem Hangover on Brian Knobbs. He then jumps over the top rope, and that trips up Eaton, who crotches himself on the top rope. Sags and hits a diving elbow on Eaton. Knobbs makes the pin. Nasty Boys retain. I gave it 2 Uncle Dave's. Very, very average match. And that's the best thing I could say about it. I mean, it wasn't terrible. The Nasty Boys weren't as bad as I remember. They were actually okay. The Blue Bloods didn't really, I mean, they were what they were. They then show a video package, shows the results of the United States title tournament. Apparently, it was vacated for some reason. Do you remember why? They didn't explain that.
Not top of my head.
Well, either way, the U.S. title was vacant. It's in round 1, Flying Bryan beat Bunkhouse Buck. That was an injustice if I ever saw one. Sting beat Arn Anderson. Stunning Steve Austin beat Jim Duggan. Meng beat Marcus Alexander freaking Bagwell. Mr. Wonderful beat Johnny B. Bad, again, in miscarriage of justice. Macho Man defeated the Butcher, even though he wasn't the Butcher anymore, but they still called him that. Alex Wright defeated Big Bubba Rogers. And Ric Flair defeated the Patriot, which I completely forgot he was in WCW until now.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, too. That's right. Stars and Stripes was Bagwell.
Yeah. Why was the Patriot, by the way, not on a pay-per-view called the Great American Bash? Like, it just seems like in-your-face obvious.
Reasons.
I guess. In round 2, Sting defeated Paul Orndorff, Meng defeated Flying Bryan, Macho Man defeated Stunning Steve Austin, and Ric Flair defeated Alex Wright because Alex Wright was actually about to beat Ric Flair, and Macho Man jumped him and got Wright disqualified because he wanted to face Flair in the final round. Finally, in round 3, Macho Man and Ric Flair were both counted out because Flair was about to come out the entryway, and Macho Man just went up and beat the hell out of him until they got counted out. Which doesn't make any sense to me, because if Flair didn't get in the ring yet, why did they start the count?
Reasons.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because screw you, that's why. But so now, the illustrious United States title tournament has come down to Sting and Meng. Yay. Mean Gene is backstage interviewing Meng and Colonel Robert Parker, who's fanning himself like he's an old Southern woman in church. Parker says that he didn't come up to stinking Dayton, Ohio to go back home with nothing. He also claims that Meng studied 9 different kinds of martial arts. They keep commenting on the heat, and it must have really been hot because Parker's like wiping sweat off of his face with his handkerchief repeatedly. Ah, man. They then show a preview for Bash at the Beach, where Hulk Hogan is on the beach with his motorcycle. This is literally the most 90s commercial I've ever seen outside of old school Nickelodeon commercials. Mean Gene... It was weird. Mean Gene Okerlund is backstage now with Sting. I have a Jax figure of Sting with that paint and color scheme.
Oh, of course you do.
Hey, this is a good one. He talks about how he's paid his dues in WCW and deserves a U.S. title. Now we go to the actual match. Meng with Colonel Robert Parker versus Sting for the U.S. title. The cameramen show them same 2 damn kids again with the Sting headbands. This makes, like the 10th time they're on camera. They finally find one more little kid. She's wearing a Sting baseball cap that's like tie-dye colors. Meng keeps going for kicks, but Sting dodges him. Meng dominates Sting for a while. And then Parker attacks Sting outside of the ring at one point. Sting eventually takes out Parker and then locks Meng in the Scorpion Deathlock. Meng breaks it. Sting splashes him off the top, and Meng kicks out. And then Sting hits a jumping DDT out of nowhere. That's the end of the match. I was like, oh, that was it. Okay, then. The match ending came out of nowhere. These two had a pretty decent match with each other. It's much better than I expected, actually. I gave it 2 1/4 Uncle Dave. So, about average. They then announced that you remember the fan I told you about earlier that looked just like Big Bubba Rogers?
Yeah.
Apparently, he won the look-alike contest. He was one of the dads. I was like, okie dokie then. I have a coworker that had like the same beard and everything as Big Boss Man. He's like on the heftier side, and he used to have a second job as a security guard, and he'd come in his security guard outfit and with his aviator shades. And somebody said, "Dude, you look just like Big Boss Man." Somebody actually took a picture of Big Boss Man and like put that guy's name on it and put it up on the board here at work. The guy didn't get it. That was the worst part. Anyway, and then Bobby Heenan says, "I know who he looks like." Shivani says, "Big Bubba." Heenan says, "No, he looks like that. He looks like an unmade bed."
An unmade bed. Wow.
They pan across a crowd, and Heenan obviously sees the same hot-ass chick that I did because he starts making noises like he's orgasming. He's like, "Whoa!" First he goes, "Whoa," and then he's like, "Whoa, oh, man." I'm like, you must have seen her too, Bobby. Videos played hyping up the Macho Man versus Ric Flair feud. This, so far, is the only match on the entire show that I give a damn about. It's been pretty well built, going all the way back to Starrcade 94, technically. Mean Gene Okerlund interviews Macho Man backstage. He starts off by congratulating the Renegade for his win because, got to get more Renegade plugs in the show. Then rambles on for a bit. And then rambles on for a bit. Wishes his dad a happy Father's Day. This one actually made sense, though, because, whole feud was he was getting revenge for his dad. He then tells Flair that he's coming to get him. I liked his line where he said he's too hot to handle and too old to cold. I feel like at this point, I should point out that the graphics used for the show were super early 90s-esque. Like, it was the most early 90s graphics of all time. But then we get to the main event. It is Ric Flair versus the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and he had his papa, Angelo Poffo, in his corner. Angelo walks out with a cane. That will come into play later. This match was actually pretty good. Had a unique ending. These two beat the tar out of each other. Flair got out of the ring at one point and grabs Angelo Poffo until Macho Man attacks Flair. This is definitely a brawl. Flair goes hardcore on Macho Man's leg in this one, even dropping him shin first over the guardrail at one point. I don't know how that didn't break his damn leg. Savage's face got busted open at one point because he's bleeding from either under his eye or his nose. I think it was under his eye. He hits the flying elbow, but pulls Ric Flair up before the count of 3. He goes for the ring bell under the ring. I don't know why they got a secondary bell under the ring, but whatever. But the ref pulls it away. He goes to do a diving axe handle on Flair outside, but Flair moves and Savage hits the guardrail. Flair beats away at Savage's bloody face and then goes after Angelo Poffo, who turns Rick around and chokes him with his cane. Flair elbows Poffo down, and Macho Man comes over to check on him. Flair runs away with Poffo's cane and hides it in the ring. Savage gets in and gets blasted in the face with the cane, and Flair gets the 3 count for the win. Conclusion, I said, I really like this match. The emotions, the build, the way they shaped it, and the actual quality overall were fantastic. Also, Bobby the Brain Heenan's commentary on this match was more savage than Randy for Uncle Dave's.
Wow.
I don't know if this match like saved the event, but it was really good. I don't know. Every time these two step in the ring with each other, it's magic. I always love Macho Man and Ric Flair. Two of the best, brother. Did you have any comments about this one? Did you like it, hate it, in between?
I thought it was actually one of their better matches I've ever seen.
Yeah, I really loved it. And sets up to keep the feud going. So, I mean, I didn't look, spoiler for everybody out there, I did not look ahead. I don't know much else about what happens in WCW in the year 95. I know about the cage match at Bash at the Beach, and that's about it. Just to close out this, you and I were talking off air. I was like, who the hell did Arn Anderson piss off to have to put over the Renegade clean? Whatever.
Hulk Hogan.
That doesn't work for me, brother. You're putting over the face paint guy. I don't know. It was weird. But either way, any closing thoughts about this show, Greg?
Yeah, close it out because it sucked.
You're not wrong.